to introduce the one, the only, me.
Hey, squiddies! It's your boy Dre here, Tattoo Squid Podcast here with Jennifer from What I Had Heard Was. Dun dun dun. No. There was no dun dun dun. I just put one in there, folks. So, how you doing? How's it going? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. I'm good. I'm great. A little
Yeah.
tired. Did a lot of recording today, but
Yeah, I still got I got like some other stuff. I got like upload a video. No, yeah, I got upload an episode that I did last month. Um, and folks, this is what happens. With like when I do an episode, it's it goes in order. So whoever I have on, uh, like say when we're after this is done, it'll probably be like the end of like April,
mhm.
probably. Because I got like 10 other ones that I had previous that I will go and do like every week. So at least I have some kind of content to
Mhm.
have go out there, whether it's audio or video and episode art. So, which I do when we talk about different shit. So, you never know. There might be a big, huge fucking shit thing we call it on there, and yeah, it's like, hey, I'm gonna put a picture of a shit ball here, and then we're just gonna have a guitar hanging out, and hey, it's a tattoo. No, but so what is life in Ohio?
It's all chili and corn, I think. So, some some crows,
Ah,
birds, deer. It's just, life in the fast lane. I don't know what to say.
the road between cornfields.
That's right.
Yeah.
I drove up to Michigan not too long ago, and when I came back, most of the way, well, not most of the way, but a good portion of the way, I was driving on roads that didn't have any real name. It was just numbers and letters and corn everywhere. It was so creepy.
Did don't did you didn't see any kids running around, did you?
Hell no.
With little sickles and everything else, and like hide behind the rose.
Turn this way. Yeah. No, no children of the corn. I used to call
Yeah.
my kids that though. Children of the corn.
Oh yeah, imagine just standing there by your door going hi, hi, like ah.
I think they both have at some point in time in their life, like, I've woken up and them be standing there looking at me. So they've been
Yeah.
watching me sleep. I'm like, don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Wake me up, go back to bed. But yeah.
Yeah, son of a bitch. Mom, why'd you hit us? You scared the crap out of me. Yeah. Don't do that. Not when I'm sleeping. Actually, what's funny is I have a when I would start going out with my late wife, my girlfriend turned wife, back in the day, went to her house, and the family was like, "Oh, she's upstairs sleeping. Yeah, just go up there, go in, knock. But whatever you do, don't go near the bed." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Okay." So then I figured out, wait, what the fuck? What's gonna happen? So I go up by the bed. And I'm like, "Hey, honey, hey, you know, fucking arms is swinging and everything else. It's like a grizzly bear just woken up from hibernation." And I'm like, "Holy shit!" So then now it's like not even like the following day or maybe the end of the weekend or something. Unless then I come over to the house again and it's like, "Oh, she's asleep," and I'm like, "Okay, now I know what to do." So I hide behind like the dresser, and then I toss like paper balls. Yeah. I was
You
like,
needed a straw.
yeah, I just tossed like that. I'm like, "Honey, honey." It's like, "What are you doing over there?" I'm like, "I don't want to get punched again." You know, because now I see myself doing that. Like I'll just go, or like a waking like bear or something, and hell, I do look like I'm hibernating underneath the covers. It's like a big mound.
Yeah.
But Ohio's like pretty much the way Ohio would look, I guess.
I don't live like we live near Cincinnati, not
Yeah.
in Cincinnati. So, I mean, Cincinnati's its own thing, and I consider myself from Cincinnati despite not living right there. But where we live is more rural, so it's not we don't have the big city life.
Well, hey, neither do I. I mean, I live in Long Island, and I don't really go to cities because why? Why would I have to
Right.
go to the city? You know, it's like I don't want to get mugged. I don't want to, I
Pay
don't
too
really know.
much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know like areas like, oh, if you go down this way, and I'm like, oh, just cut down 42nd Street. I'm like, yeah, well, where the fuck do I go now? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
and it
bad with
takes
directions.
one
Yeah,
wrong turn, and you're like, oh, I don't want to be here.
yeah. It's like, oh man, I'm telling you, I'm bad with directions. Even before we had GPSs,
Hmm.
like major league GPS, and everybody used maps and everything else and plotting courses and like let me get the proctor and okay, we can go over here by like 2 o'clock next week or some shit.
Yeah, you can get your maps and it'll tell you how to get from point A to point B, but what if you have to stop and go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Now what are you gonna do?
Well, my dad would say, was like, listen, just there's a fucking forest over there. Just bring some kind of paper, and you're good. Just get it done. Boom. Then you drive. Or if you go camping, like I usually do, it's like, and I didn't know this until a friend of mine literally just did this. Like, not just did this, but literally did this part. We go upstate, and first, I mean, I gone camping as Boy Scouts, but
Hmm.
not going camping with friends. And these friends I haven't really known. I know one person out of that whole group, and I'm just meeting this other group as it is. So I'm like, I don't know what am I getting myself into. So I'm like, all right, So I'm driving my car. My friend, she's like 5'1",
Hmm.
and I was gonna say whatever 7-Eleven she works at because she does work at 7-Eleven at the time, which is like a Turkey Hill or whatever, uh, kind of convenience store.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so we get in there. All of a sudden, she's like, "I have to pee." I'm like, "I don't know what you want me to say. I don't know." you know. And then all of a sudden, she's like, because we get to the toll booth, and she's like, "Kay," which is a friend of friend of ours now. Is like, "Kay." It's like, "What?" And it's like, "I gotta pee." It's like, "Well, find a can," I'm like, and I'm driving like this. I'm like, "A can?" I'm like, "The fuck?" I don't know. So then that was it. Then we like stopped and she like went into the woods and did what she had to do and boom. So now you'll learn a lot of stuff on the road. So that was my take on it. And at that time my wife was like she was like Miss Mother Nature.
Hmm.
She loved nature. She was like she didn't want to get married in no church. She thought her head was gonna spin like The Exorcist. And so we got married outside. So
That's nice.
yeah, that's good. Fucking what was it, June, and me wearing a tuxedo, my brother's wearing a tuxedo. We look like two French toasts on a griddle. That's how hot it was. We were like sweating bullets. And
Yeah.
then she's in the limo with the AC on. I'm like, lucky her. And I look at my brother. I'm like, is my makeup running? It's like you don't have any makeup. I'm like, it feels like I have makeup. It's just running down, going like that. Like, so, but uh, we were just talking about tattoos, and obviously you're set with tattoos on your chest, and you got stuff on your arms, and
Hmm.
like I do, or as I tell a lot of people, I'm like I fell in a box of crayons, you know, and then this is what came out, but yeah, how when and how old were you when you first got your first tattoo?
I think it was probably 22, maybe.
All right, well, considerable young age, to
It seems late because I feel like I would
yeah.
have done it before then, but
The rebellious stage is like 17, 18,
well, I
16.
had my daughter when I was 18, so I wasn't super rebellious after that, because I had responsibilities.
Well, technically you were like rebellious. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just stopped being that way. But yeah, I think it was probably 21 or 22.
Okay. Yeah, and what do you remember your first tattoo that you got done?
I do. It was a fairy on a quarter moon, and it was done by an apprentice.
Ooh, that's usually baptism by fire kind of
It
thing.
wasn't great. Yeah, it wasn't great, and I didn't realize it at the time because I had no idea what I was
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that one, and I had that one. I just got covered up with the chest piece, which is my newest one.
Yeah.
And then I had my kids' names tattooed on my collarbone. So,
Ooh, that hurts. I say that now, but we call it. I got my shin bone fucking like tattooed, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, that hurts." I'm like,
uh,
not really. You just sit there. It's a little annoying pain. But that's what happens when you're dead inside. No, I was just kidding.
I do think there's some truth to that, though. Honestly, like I think that trying to cope with emotional pain and things like that
Yeah,
so much more complicated and so much more painful than going out and doing something that causes you some physical pain.
yeah,
Now, to be fair, I think this is where a lot of self-harm comes from, like um, cutting and things along those
yeah,
lines. But
exactly.
I've always believed that the more socially acceptable version of it is getting tattoos,
Yeah,
or excessive piercings, any of these things, because that is, it's not, nobody's going to come to you and be like, oh, you've got, I mean, they might say you have a problem, but
yeah,
not to the same extent as if, you know, you're cutting or other self harm.
yeah. I mean, we call that. I don't know when you like talk. I mean, I'm not talk to people, but when you hear like other professionals,
Hmm.
they're saying, oh, they just want to get attention. Like I mean, I'm not gonna say that horror movies is somewhat telling like the story of like people doing that. It's like you see like take for instance Nightmare on Elm Street,
Hmm.
and then they like part three Dream Warriors. I don't know if you're a horror movie fan, but
Yeah, but I couldn't keep them straight. Like, if you're like, this scene or this, even this movie, I'd be like, man, I gotta watch it. But yeah, I mean, I'm
no,
familiar.
basically Freddy Krueger. Obviously,
Mhm.
you know who that is. We
Yeah.
call it, and part three has like all these kids. They're in a dream. They're like a gang band together to try to help each other out. But in the process of the dreams, there is uh, some kind of social outcast, like towards like the family, because the family doesn't really give a shit about them sometimes, or it looks like they don't give a shit, and then also they're like trying to stay awake to the point where they are cutting their wrists
Hmm.
to stay awake. But then, somebody that is a upper class kind of person or something, it's like, oh, she's just looking for attention because nobody's really looking that way. You know.
But I think that which is fair, but to a point, if somebody is looking for attention and they're so desperate that they will do something like that to
Yeah.
get attention, then it's not just somebody being an asshole.
Yeah.
It's surpassed that, where you're like, okay, well, this person actually does have some type of, likely have some type of mental illness that needs to be addressed. So maybe
Yeah.
they are doing it for attention, but that's a, a symptom right there in itself.
Yeah. But to me, I mean, and like I was saying, we were talking about before, that when like say for me when I get tattoos, I mean I love getting tattoos done. Even way before that, I found out about a family member that has some kind of like illness,
Hmm.
not a mental illness, but just like a illness like cancer
Hmm.
or whatever. And then you don't know how to deal. Some people drink, some people do this, whatever.
Right.
And me, I'm like, I like tattoos. So
Hmm.
I started out getting tattoos when I was younger, like 18, 19. And, and then it just got, money. You need to have money to get tattoos nowadays. Um, and I had like maybe four, five tops, like big ones. And then, but now with everything going on, I started getting, sleeves done on the arms. To me, that is like, and I kept on telling people, and people are like, "Why do this to yourself, to your body?" I'm like, "It's therapy for me."
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
I mean, it's therapy. I mean, I like getting it done. I'm not going to go overboard on it. And it's not like, oh, I'm going to do my whole face. I'm going to do this and
Well,
do
you have
that.
something to show for it when you're done with it, and you have that release. The endorphins that are going when you get the tattoo, and
Right.
yeah, I mean, basically, and that right there, that high that you get is it can be addicting, you
Yeah.
know? So it's not even that, they're like, oh, tattoos are addicting. And I don't think it's so much like, oh, I need to put art all over my body. Like all of my tattoos, for the most part, except this one, just represent a story of some part of time in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I don't want that to go away. That's important to me to mark those
Yeah.
things.
Oh, exactly.
But in doing so, I was able to, like you said, have that therapy, have that release.
Yeah.
And it made trying to cope with emotional pain more plausible because I was like, okay, well, I'm not at 100 all the time. So if I'm down here, I can deal with what's left.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, to me also, when I go back to, like, say, work, and then all of a sudden, people, like, you see the bandage on your arm, and you're like, what the hell happened now? And I'm like, oh, no, tattoo. Didn't you just get one like Tuesday? I'm like, yeah, but I got bored. I wanted to get another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then it was like, it wasn't even like that part where it's like, oh, I'm going to look at the wall and see like the stuff that's on the wall and just pick. Like I did when I was younger. I'm like, oh, I'll get that one. I'll get the panther, or
Right.
the old traditional style looking panther that's about 5 inches like too wide, and like it's not even on anything. Well, it's on your skin. I'm like,
Little flash art.
yeah, the
You've got a
flash art.
floating panther.
Yeah, exactly. The black panther, like the floating art ones, and I'm like,
I want to see a floating panther in a low back tattoo, just floating.
yeah, just like just like coming out like that. It's like what they call those tattoos that's on the back, the lower back part. Uh uh no, not, well, they call it tramp stamps, I guess.
Yeah.
And then just like the person has, like, say, jeans or something, and then there's the tiger, like,
Yeah, if any of your listeners have a tattoo on their lower back of a free floating cat or other animal, you can email that to me
yeah,
at what I had heard was at gmail.com because I want to see that.
yeah, definitely. We call it that. Hell, I want to see it too. I'm like, what the hell?
We'll
I
share.
mean,
Yeah.
there's like, well, not because of that way, no, but because I always like, and I get this problem every time when I go into the tattoo shop, the one I was telling you about in Pennsylvania. I go in there and I'm on the computer. I'm looking to see what I'm gonna get next, and people come walking in. They're like, "Hey, you know, how much, to get this, and do this and this, and like with like so many colors and all that." I'm like, um, I am the customer, you know, and they're like, "What? You you look like you work here," and I'm like, I feel like I live here, but it's like I don't really, And then they come by, they're like, he's more tattooed than we are, because,
Yeah.
well, actually, the piercer uh, is way more tattooed than myself and the other guys put together. Because, like, from head to toe, he's
Wow.
covered in, like, horror stuff. And then whenever he can't um, put, like, anywhere that's on his body, he'll try to put, like, like right here or, like, here. And, you
So
know,
he's just out of real estate
yeah,
then.
he's at, and then I tell people, like, what happens when you run out of, like, room? I'm like, I would go and find a different body and do like they did in the movies. Just put my brain into that body, and then I got a new canvas going on.
I didn't know until I got this most recent tattoo how difficult it was to cover tattoos and why it costs so much more,
Yeah.
to have that done. And it really is complex. And I expected the tattoos I had on my collarbone would come back because they were, you know,
Yeah.
they weren't done well. We'll say.
Yeah. Oh, you had one of those people. I'm like, yeah, I did too. You know, it's like they did something on one arm and it was like so like the lines were like so how should I explain it? Like you can feel the line.
Yeah,
And it's like years after and you can still feel the outline of the tattoo. It's not like it's gone. Maybe it's my fault because I didn't, you know, heal it right the way or follow the directions. But you figured if you don't do anything, it's going to heal no matter what.
but even if you do follow the directions, sometimes they're just done poorly. And
Yeah.
as the customer, especially as somebody who's a new tattoo customer, you
Hmm.
have no idea what to expect, what you should be looking for, or even when it heals sometimes, how it
Yeah.
should heal.
Yeah.
But I felt like the other one was raised, and this doesn't seem like there's any part that's raised. So I don't know. I'm not going to complain about it.
Hey, you know, you get it done, you get it done. You're like, hey, look at this. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, better off than we go, you know, you're going out getting drunk, and then you wake up, you're like, what the fuck?
But I tattoo now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no,
Like,
I mean, I've done that too, but
I really haven't done that. I'm like, knock on wood. I'm like, thank God I haven't get to that part yet. You know, and I'm like, because I was watching like Three's Company at one point, and he got drunk and he got like some kind of like heart that says mom on it, you know, and on his ass cheek.
oh, I've never drunkenly got a tattoo. No.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like
Yeah,
that. I
no.
never really got to that point. I was always like, I'll go and get tattooed, and then I'll get drunk. You know.
Yeah.
So I would go there, and then people were like, "Hey, you got a new tattoo? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, hi." Bang. You know, I'm like, "Oh, you son of a fucking
People suck. Yeah.
bitch." Oh, actually, we called. There was a friend of mine, Rick Heiss. And the reason I say that because he passed away like a couple of weeks ago. Uh, I got my first tattoo done. I went to go and play darts. You know, I love playing darts in bars and playing pool in bars. You know, I can't really do like the professional pool thing because everybody's just gonna kick my ass. Um, and you know, I got my first or second one done, and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" We're playing our dart tournament thing, and he goes, "Dre, what's up? How you doing? New tat, you know, nice." Boom. You son of a. I'm like, I'm okay. And my arm like waving.
Mm.
But that was like a typical thing. But what was your when you go get tattoos done? And I know you said something where you had an apprentice do it, but have you had like some kind of like when you sat there and getting your tattoos done, and something weird happens, like in the shop, or somebody just comes in and you know, or I guess it was just like a typical, I'll just go in there, get it done, and boom, you're out.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. I can't even I don't think anything even remotely exciting ever happened while I was getting a tattoo. I don't know.
Well, there was, yeah, there was a couple of instances. One of them I'm not going to explain because it's kind of hard to try to explain it, and it's more gender, uh, you know, explaining. I guess
Hmm.
I don't want to like you know murder it and get flack from it. So basically, there was a Friday the 13th. Uh, Obviously, there is a Friday the 13th somewhere. And, you know, tattoo shops are famous for having Friday the 13th tattoos. Or cancer, ribbons, and all that. So they want to get stuff done. So they called me up. And they're like, hey, we need some help. We need somebody to work the desk and so we can do our shit, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, cool. So I got, you know, everybody in line, you know, numbered, everybody paid, no problem. In and out like the wind, you know, boom, they're all done. All of a sudden, I'm like, maybe I should get one of those. And then my friend's like, no, I got one picked out for you. I'm like, it better not be gay. Yeah, I don't want to have no I don't know what. I was like, yeah, I just wanted something like skullish, demon kind of thing, something
Mhm.
weird, but not like, oh, look what you got. Because when I was younger, my uncle got a tattoo,
Mhm.
and he was in the Navy, so he had a Navy shield, uh, on his arm that say that he was in the Navy with the what they call it, the eagle.
Mhm.
And he told me, like, he said five things. I can't remember what the five things of what not to get, but there was like the ones I remember were no cartoons, like Yosemite Sam, Bugs Bunny, Woody Woodpecker, yeah.
Right.
Um, no hearts that says mom on it, because when you get older, you're just gonna regret it. That you have something like that, and then you could have got something better or something. I
Mhm.
don't know. And I'm like, okay, girlfriends' names, because
Anybody's names, yeah.
huh? Yeah. So if
Anybody's.
something goes wrong, that's on you. I'm like, yeah, but back in those days, they didn't think about like, oh, well, you got a machine that can take tattoos off now. Back then they didn't know anything about that.
Tattoo
So
curse. If you get
yeah.
somebody's name tattooed on you, you're done.
So I mean, I did it because I knew I was going to be married to my the woman and that I met twice. I mean, went on a date twice, and I'm like, I'm gonna marry this one. Anyway, so that was the whole thing, and then I'm like, and there was like two other things. So I gone with those rules as it is, but so I get to this Friday the 13th tattoo, and the guy was like, oh no, I got the Grim Reaper, sickle, out in the desert, the wind blowing kind of thing. It's a really cool one. We'll put it on the back of the calf and all that. And I'm like, okay, cool. So 2 hours going in, everything's done. I'm putting the wrapping on, and all of a sudden there's a bathroom, and then we hear this. I'm like, the fuck is that? And he just looked at me. He goes, "You heard that too, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, it sounded like it came from the bathroom." We went into the bathroom, looked around, we're like, "All right, nothing here. What the fuck was that?" We figured it was the pipes. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, we're just talking about different shit. Again, we're like, let's get the fuck out of here. Yeah, and then we just did, and then we had like some guy come by and take a look and see if it's a pipe. No, pipes are clean. Everything else is good. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
That's weird.
well, it's Friday the 13th, and plus every weather condition changing like within
Mhm.
minutes of each other. It was a crazy night to start.
Right.
It is. But and then you had your typical people come in to get piercings and they're all nervous, and one girl had nipple piercings before and they fell out, so she came back and she's sitting there like this, like on a waiting father or something, like. And I'm like,
If she's that scared, why do it?
I don't know. I guess she just wanted to get it done and that was it. I'm like, and I even asked her that because I'm like, I'm reading a magazine. I'm looking. I'm like, you okay? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, tattoo? She goes, piercing. And I'm like, should I ask what? And then she goes, nipples. I'm like, ooh, just even saying that because I had that done once. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, sorry. I was like, oh no, I gotta get them redone. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, why would you do that? I don't know. Like,
I guess she wanted to get done. She paid it, and then, she didn't want to have like some kind of malfunctioning. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. But I had then like what you were talking about, like when you were tattooing, and not you tattooing, but when you got the chest tattoo done to cover up a
mhm.
tattoo, I had nothing on here except piercings like in the chest,
Mhm.
like a cluster. Like if you ever seen Iron Man with that brown thing that's in his chest, that's what it looked like. All these like dermal piercings going around like that because I got fucking bored. And I went in there and I'm like, I went with a friend and my friend wanted to get a Batman tattoo thing going on. And it took like forever. And then they were going to close at like 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, so is there a way I can get something done? He goes, no. Pierce, the guy looks at me, he goes, you want to get pierced? I'm like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. And then the guy has anxieties too, so I'm like, oh, what am I fucking doing?
Yeah.
The guy's like, does this look like it's straight? I'm like, no. On the inside, I'm like, no. On the outside, I'm like, just do it. Come on. So, and that was. But anything else? Do you like what kind of movies that that you would go and watch if your favorite kind of movies, favorite genre or something?
I think mostly we watch horror movies and comedies. I like, I like the like old favorite, not old favorites, but um, Step Brothers. You know, and now I'm drawing a blank because I'm trying to come up with something. But yeah, I really enjoy a lot of the movies going back to watch them. Because it's timeless. Some of this shit.
Yeah,
The quotes, you're like, oh
yeah,
yeah.
oh, yeah, and you can just like watch the movie that you love, and then you can pretty much go for scene and relive the scenes. You know,
You've seen Night at the Roxbury?
uh,
Yeah, yeah. So my
oh
grandson, he's 2,
yeah.
and whenever my daughter asks him a question, he'll go, "No, yeah," and he's just being goofy. Now, whenever he does it, we go both do that. We're like, "No, yes." 2 years old. He's quoting Night at the Roxbury. He has no idea, but it is hilarious.
That's good for like a 2 year old. I have a niece that um hasn't talked since until she was 4, I think, because
Huh.
she has certain oh, what the hell is the mental illness actually we're just talking about uh oh god, you had to have like 20 or something to autism. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they were saying that she has 4 possible things, but it doesn't count to say that she's autistic. You need like 20 or so more to be legitimately autistic or whatever. So she is, and as a kid, and I don't know what it is. It's like this day and age, you get a cell phone as it is, and my dad had a cell phone, and he didn't know how to get the fucking YouTube, and he wanted to see something. I'm like, yeah, you can get YouTube on the fucking phone, Dad. And he goes on there, and all of a sudden, here's my 2-year-old niece comes over and grabs the phone, deet, 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 whatever, boom, gets on YouTube, no problem. And I'm like, how the fuck did she do? I'm
it
like, what the hell?
it's a different generation though. Like they never knew anything. We knew no internet. We knew
Yeah.
encyclopedias. Because you see online all the time, they're like, "What would you do if the internet went down?" But like the same fucking thing I did before we had the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
Buy books, get some DVDs. Yeah, I mean, I'll survive.
I think somebody mentioned it because I used to. People are like, oh, why don't you just send your when you do your billing, you do your bills and they do it like on the internet. I'm like, and I always send my bills like now now I do that, but I used to send them and do money orders,
Hmm.
and send them out. It's like, oh, that's so whatever, and I'm like, yeah, but what happens if we're gonna like not have phones or computers or then what? You're gonna sit there and go, I don't know what to fucking do now. I'm like, oh, I know what to do. Send money orders. Fucking mail it out. You know?
Right. They said that like they're called COVID babies or whatever, but babies born during quarantine just have like they have a lot of the same characteristics because they've never known a world that's not COVID.
Yeah.
And, when kids typically will have birthday parties or get-togethers for, holidays,
Yeah.
they didn't have that. So they didn't have any type of large gathering. So it's giving them increased anxiety and
Oh, I know. It's crazy how everything like changes for certain people. Kind of like your room. I thought your room was like a regular fucking room. Now I'm looking at it, it's a drawing.
Actually, yeah, I was recording earlier with a different show, and one of the guys said, "Oh, where did you buy that backdrop?" And the other one goes, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. I'm like, I just noticed it now, and I'm like, wait, it's like what's that band? Aha, I think. No, I think it is. I don't know. But that whole drawing where they all singing and everything else, and there's like, I can't remember what the fucking thing is. I know heavy metal music, and I can't remember like typical songs. Like I know there's a band called Aha. I just don't know the name of the song, but it's like a girl that stands there, and there's like a guy that's in like some kind of TV, and he's like talking to her or whatever, and the song's in the background, and she jumps in the TV, and they're both looking like characters on a TV or something. So that's what that whole background kind of like reminds me of, like somebody like a drawing, kind of like be able to move around. Yeah, I don't know if it makes sense or not, but
I had to, it would look better if I had a pole at the very end of it or something to, stretch it. I think it
yeah,
would look even more realistic. But when I looked on the camera, I was like, man, I'm impressed by it.
yeah.
It's solid, however much I spent on it.
Is it that's like store bought, or is that just like something that you did?
No, I bought it off of Amazon.
Oh, nice. Oh, I gotta do that for my own room, I guess, somewhere.
And
Maybe.
what's interesting is this is like two different, there's a wall here
Yeah.
and then the rest of it. So, and it didn't affect it at all. Like,
Oh, nice. I mean, I like. It just threw me for a loop at first. I'm like, wait a minute, that table does not go with that backdrop.
yeah.
It's like really dark over there, and then it's like multi. Yeah.
I think it helps that it's kind of a blue tint to the floor, and then I've got the blue lights on my desk.
Yeah.
So then it kind of looks like it belongs somehow together.
Yeah. It's like cra- crazy how it I'm still like looking at it like, what's going on there? Maybe I think there's a guy lurking behind the door. No, I'm just kidding. But that's my horror thing in the background. Just like um, what kind of horror movies do you like more of? Is there a specific uh type? I guess.
So yeah, I don't know why. I like uh, all of the Saw movies.
Yes.
And then the Hostel movies were pretty good.
Yes. Oh yes.
So, like I see the theme as I'm going here, but they just tend with there were psychological thrillers. It
Yeah.
wasn't just, I don't like flashing lights.
Yeah.
So, which seems to be the thing in horror movies right now.
Yeah.
It makes me sick to my stomach and I just don't want to watch it. And then jump scares. I'm like, that's cheap. Like, that's lazy writing. Get something other than just
Yeah.
jumping out at me. I want something I'm going to be thinking about years from now.
Oh, I still think about it. Like I was watching Saw 6, and then Jigsaw. Actually, the separate from. I mean, it's still Saw, but it's like its own entity of Jigsaw.
Right.
And I was watching that, and I had this question, and I asked this to my girlfriend now, and she's like, he's still fucking killing people, like mindless killing. I'm like, no, he hasn't really killed anybody. Maybe one person. And that was it. Himself. He did that once by himself. Everybody else, he gave choices. You ever do this or do this. Either way, there's some way. Somebody's going to be coming out of here alive, and someone's going to be dead.
And it was also why. This is the reason there was everything. It wasn't like the people who were in this situation had no idea what was going on or how to fix it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He says, this is why you're here. You're here. This
Yeah.
is why you're here.
Yeah.
This is the situation, and if you want to fix it, this is what you do.
Yeah. And then
So,
this is what your life was, like, listen, you conned everybody, you done
hmm
this, you stole money, you need to pay for your actions, and then, but now it's like whatever they're gonna do, it's gonna be bloody at some point. It's
right.
not like, oh, I'm just gonna cut my wrist here, or I'm just gonna, do this. No, you're gonna take the whole arm off.
Yeah, you're gonna have to want it
Yeah.
more than anything. You're gonna have to want to survive more than anything.
Which is like the beginning of each movie is like crazy, and then they didn't even start the movie yet. Well, basically they did start the movie, but they didn't go into like the credits of the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Like the beginning of the whole thing, you're like, oh wow, like was it? I think it was six. I think it was six or Jigsaw, and there was like, there's one guy in one cage, another girl in the other cage, and they were like some kind of, I don't know if they were a team. I forgot what it was, but they had to pay with a pound of their own flesh. And there was a tube on each side and a weight machine. And they had every kind of apparatus in that room. And they had to cut whatever part of their being and put it down this tube and then weighs. And then whoever gets the most weight gets free or something. And then the
hmm
other, because they had some kind of pressure point thing on their skull that if the timer goes out, it drills into their skull.
This sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I mean, I forget all kinds of crap. So, but I think I've seen it. I just don't recall.
and it's just crazy because they had like the one guy, he's like a heavy set guy. He goes, well, I got a lot of fat, so I can just cut away, and he's cutting away, and the woman's like, she just goes and then starts ready to saw her arm, like her hand, and she goes, nah. And then gets a hatchet and starts hatching away with her own arm and putting it down the
But
chute.
that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
how much do you want to live? Like,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then you have to think, because they're not even talking about the consequences of what they're doing. She chops her arm off or whatever.
Yeah.
She has no arm. So is that something that she's going to be like, oh, no, that's fine?
Well, then and then you see her recall like talking to the cops, and the cops are like, "Well, you really deserved it." It's like, I had no arm. It's like, well, you're gonna have to live like that. You did your thing, and basically the accomplice, somewhat, is pretty much telling her, even though nobody didn't know that's him. It was like, and it's just mind-boggling. I love using that word, mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling how you can be able to try to figure out what the scenario is going to be towards the end, because something's going to happen. Like he's got an accomplice, but then he also has another accomplice that accomplice doesn't know about.
hmm
And then that one's trying to kill that guy because if he does something wrong, get him out of the way, and then continue on with the art form, as he calls it, somewhat.
I think when they have a villain who is very intelligent,
Yeah,
then that's and almost borders on where you're that line of good versus air quotes evil,
yeah.
but good or bad maybe. I
It makes you think. Yeah, it does.
Because some of them you're like, I mean, I know you can't do that, but
Yeah,
so yeah, even the worst people in the movies sometimes they'll try to give human emotion. I don't know,
yeah,
just some emotion towards, and just try to give some soul or yeah, but no.
yeah. But now the difference between Saw and Hostel is way, way different than what you.
Completely,
Yeah,
yeah.
completely on a different plane. And people, if you don't know what we're talking about, give you a synopsis. Like Saw is one person. Now, given Jigsaw is also everything that happens now is revolved around his life as it is. You know, I think in Jigsaw the movie, you see we call it like everybody that's in there happens like the guy that is supposed to give you that chemo or whatever or that insurance because you have cancer. Well, we don't think that. And he goes, well, it's up to me, and you don't seem like you should deserve to have this chemo. Like it was like the guy's, mind frame to say, I say you have it or you're not.
Playing God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
play God kind of thing. But
Right.
in his mind, he thinks he's doing the right thing. But now you get to everybody else, and then all of a sudden now in Jigsaw, there's like, oh, well, here's the guy that supposedly Jigsaw has cancer. Now the nurse that did the whole X-rays screwed up the X-rays, and then he didn't have cancer. So then that guy's involved, and
Right.
then the woman that his next door neighbor killed her baby because she couldn't hack the whole thing of having a baby and framed it on her husband, saying, "Oh, he smothered her," and your actions will pay in the end. But then when you
Right.
get also, folks, when you see that, you're like, oh my God, that's like everything else. No, that's by itself. Then you get the Hostel. And Hostel is a organization
Mhm.
that is run. There's like a game kind of thing where they get young. Like the first one is all boys, like teenagers. Like spring breakers. Instead
Oh,
they
that are collecting up the people.
yeah they go and
Yeah.
get these people. There's the girls that are in the town. They entice the boys, but then they knock them out, and then next thing you know, they're in some kind of room where some maniac likes to chop off body parts, or this one likes to use cockroaches, or this one likes to use gas and all that, or there's
Right.
some mental thing in their head that like I have to do this, but they have the money, and it's an organization of a syndicate kind of thing,
They
and
procure the people for them to.
yeah, and they pay X amount of dollars
Mhm.
for whatever they can do to have fun, and their fun is killing whoever it is. Whether
Right.
it's, hey, I'm going to use a chopping axe. Oh, I'm going to go and use a blender. Whatever. You know, and then they make a second one, and then it's all girls. They go and do the same thing. It's in a different country. Then they made a third one. I don't know if you know this. They have a third one.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, which is a bridal party.
Huh.
So there's a bridal party of, your usual, you got your groomsmen, you got your bridesmaids, they all go and do, uh, they go and do their thing for bachelorette and bachelor party. So, but they all go to Las Vegas. I mean, where else? You go to Las Vegas, when in Las Vegas, go to Las Vegas. I forgot what the phrase was that they, say when you go in Vegas,
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yeah, there you go. It stays in Vegas. So um, they go to Vegas now. Said uh, corporation runs the thing in Vegas. Now the guy that's the best man, he's part of this organization, and
Mm.
just they're like, what are you doing now? And all hell
It's the
breaks.
darker version of The Hangover.
Yeah, it's really the darker version. No tattoo on the forehead.
so, so what movies have you seen, or what series have you seen that are similar to those, to either of them? But you know the style I'm talking about.
Yeah,
And
I haven't really seen like a series. I mean, there is a series like say, and I hate to say this because a friend of mine kept on like pushing this series on me like to watch it. Dexter.
oh no, that's a good one though.
It's a I don't know. I'm like old school, you know.
I mean, if you're gonna be mad about the last season, then yes. And I trust me, I understand. Like I was Game of Thrones, you're like, what the fuck just happened? But
Yeah.
yeah.
I only got to like season 5, and everybody's like, yeah, pretty much that would be it. You don't have to go to like 7 or 8.
Yeah. And yeah. I'm hoping they will revive the show and, well, not revive the show in so much as just take and use his son for a new show. He's good.
Yeah,
He's a good actor. He's good in that part.
but he was like, he was pushing it, like saying, oh, it's it's a, he's a serial killer, but he's killing people that deserve it, and I'm like, okay, but I like more supernaturalist kind of thing,
Yeah, that
But yeah, Saw is not that, Saw is not a supernatural thing, but it's a lot gorier. I like that, but I
yeah,
don't
this
know.
is not very gory at all.
Nah, but that's, I mean, the only thing that I like this, like a series of, and it doesn't really well, there's a series called Friday the 13th, the series.
Oh,
And
yeah, we've talked about that.
oh yeah, yeah, we could. It was like it doesn't pertain to like Jason Voorhees or anything. It's cursed objects
Right.
that they're the there's a girl Nikki, which I was trying to get on the show. I was trying to get her on, and then her cousin, I forgot what the name was, but anyway, they had this uncle, the evil uncle, that wanted to be like a satanic leader or
Hmm.
cult leader, and for him, and then the devil wanted him, or Satan wanted him to go and sell all these cursed items, whether it's a doll that gives bad dreams, or uh, whatever you think of, whatever it is, it's going to be some crazy shit. A ring that could revive a dead person. Yeah,
And they sold some of it, right? They sold some of the stuff before they realized it
yeah.
was cursed, and they had to go back and get. That's what each
Because yeah,
episode
the
is
uncle
about.
passed away, so they're like, all right, well, here's a shop that's in our name now, and we're gonna go and sell this stuff, not
Right.
knowing it's cursed. And then when they find out it's cursed because they're not their friend, but now it's a friend. This guy Jack comes in and he wants to go and get these stuff and block them away.
Yeah.
They're like, what the fuck? Who are you? It's like, I am Jack Marshak. Yeah.
I
And
wonder where you can watch that because we tried to watch it on YouTube, but the quality was so bad.
I think that's the way it is for
Like just,
anything of that. The
well,
quality.
that's that
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah, that time. It's like watching Max Headroom.
Hmm.
I was watching that a couple of days ago, and it's the same kind of quality as Friday the 13th, the series.
That's a good point. You're not starting with good quality and then it's going down. You're starting with crap quality and then that's
Yeah,
going down.
it's just the way it is. I mean,
Right.
people look at old style cartoons, and they're like, "Oh, what is this?" Blah blah blah.
Mm.
But it's the way it is. But Friday the 13th series, I haven't done a episode art of that one at all. So that
Yeah,
was,
that was a really good.
I love the whole fact that there's the two cousins, Marshak, and they go and find all these, like, they had to retrieve everything back, put it in this vault where the vault's supposed to hold it. It's kind of like a early modern day Conjuring.
Yeah.
Like, you look at Conjuring, they taken all the artifacts and they put them in a room, and they keep it in a room, like Annabelle and uh, the nun or whatever, and blah blah blah. So it seems like that early stage wise, but it's in a vault uh, for Friday the 13th, the series.
Who did Hostel? Was it that wasn't J.J. Abrams, was it?
No, I think it was Eli Roth.
Eli Roth. That's right. I
Yeah.
knew it wasn't. But yeah, Eli Roth, he's done a lot of good stuff.
Yeah,
He,
Cabin Fever.
yeah, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, the first one was alright. The second one, I think the second one was like more uh high schoolish, I guess.
That's one of the things. Yeah, I like campy horror when it's meant to be campy horror.
Yeah.
But when they're trying to be scary, and that's the best they're coming off with, like the best you can do is stereotypical bullshit of like, we're gonna run off into the woods. This football player and cheerleader will be back, and then they get killed, obviously. And you're like, well, you fucking deserve it. Like, what are you doing?
Okay.
Somebody's been following us for 48 miles. We're gonna go and
Here,
hook up in the
here's
woods.
here's a question. Now, horror person to horror person, why does every horror film have to end with somebody going into space?
Is that how it is now?
No, yeah, basically like Friday the 13th, the 10th one, he's in space.
Because
Hellraiser,
because
he's
there's
in space.
people who believe that that's where the future is, like that the planet is so gone that we're going to have to go into space. So now you have something to be afraid of.
Yeah, and the reason I bring this up because I saw this on Twitter, and I don't know if this is something man-made or is it really what it's supposed to be. Amityville Horror in space.
I saw that on Twitter too.
I'm like,
But did you
oh,
see the rest of them? Because whoever posted it that I saw, there's like four others or three others that
yeah,
are equally as stupid. It's like Amityville Clowns,
yeah, yeah.
or yeah.
And I'm like, I don't like remakes. I hate remakes. Even like, oh, it's a reboot. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm like, don't fuck around with the original shit. Like it. Even though it was a mini series in the beginning, but that's what's good about it. Tim Curry, John Ritter, um, like a slew of other cast members, but then they want to have it more intense, more gory, and all that for the kids nowadays. I'm like, I understand that, but I didn't like it, for some reason,
Yeah.
but. And then they try to remake like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing on Netflix.
Now I haven't seen that, but I've heard like people feel very strongly one way or another on that one.
Yeah, I mean there is some good stuff, and then there's like, really, you know, and
So
that's all I'm
was
gonna say. That's
do you think their mistake was just trying to brand it with the rest of them? Do you think that they could have made a movie independent of the name and it have been good, and it was the fact that they were associating with the prior?
I that's the thing. I think that when they go in and remake it, they're remaking it just to like, oh well, the original one, we'll just do it the same way, but we'll just add some different shit to it,
Right.
and it just doesn't seem right. And I'm like, I don't know. And I said this numerous times, and even my girlfriend was like, she's not one for like she'll watch horror movies, but she's like, listen, there's no original thought in remakes. You're just remaking somebody else's shit.
Well, and there's not much thought into current horror movies because it's what do you get? Flashing lights,
Mm,
jump scares,
yeah,
remakes. Like
yeah,
they're not. Are there some movies out there that are good? There are some decent movies out there that are still
yeah.
coming out, but there hasn't been anything in a while that's just blown my mind. Well, that's not true. I don't know if you saw Nobody.
Um, I'm not sure actually, to be honest. No, I don't think I have.
That was a movie that, like, I watched the preview and I was like, oh, that I think I'm gonna like that, but I really really liked it. So I recommend that to everybody. Now I want to
Oh,
watch that one again
was,
too.
was that nobody? Was that nobody you said?
It's called Nobody. Yeah, it's got the guy from oh really? Jesus.
you,
Uh
you got the same montage I do. Like, oh,
it's
shit,
like the
really?
Breaking Bad attorney, Sal, not Sal.
No, Breaking Bad. That's like a thing that my sister fucking just adores.
But there was an attorney on that, and then he had Better Call Saul. That's what it's called.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I know you're talking about.
I don't know what his name is, but he is in Nobody.
Yeah. Oh, okay, okay.
And so
Wait,
that's, just, 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 that's, just
Huh. Where is he? What didn't he? What didn't he? What didn't he? Uh, Bob Odenkirk.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, we call it. I haven't really. I tried to see that. I mean, I watched the we call it Breaking Bad. My sister was like, like I said, she was like, "Oh, you gotta watch it. It's so good. It's so good." I'm like, "How good?" She goes, "Really fucking good." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Are you gonna go and do that whole thing?" Yes. Yeah. But actually, we could. I'm gonna be. I don't know. I'm gonna watch it tonight. But there's gonna be a. There's a movie. Probably like next week. I'm gonna be on Wheel of Horror,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a movie called Vigil, or something. Vigil,
Mm-hmm.
and gonna watch that. And it has to be a horror movie. So see how that one goes. But
Yeah.
what else is there? There's well, tell everybody about the podcast. I know you said there's two more people with you.
Yep. Anna and Diane. And this season, we're talking about women to remember. It's basically exactly what it sounds like. It's women in history who've been forgotten or just aren't getting the attention they deserve. And so we just, talk about them a little bit, bring them back into the forefront on our little corner of the world. And we also do midnight editions, which I describe as subjects that pearl clutchers will not let you discuss at the dinner table.
Ah, intriguing. It's like dun dun dun. Like what
Yeah,
happened? Did you marry somebody? Okay.
all of next season will be midnight edition, so I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, because now the forgotten ladies that you're talking, forgotten women actually, are they like just like actresses or just like people in time of
Yeah, just
uh
people in time. There was like Bessie Coleman
okay.
was a woman I discussed, and the she was Native American and
Mm.
African American, and she became the first African American pilot, I believe. But it's very interesting. Right now, if I try to tell you this, I'm gonna mess it up. But
Ah.
she was great. Like she did just a really amazing woman. She accomplished so much. She went to flight school over in Paris because here you weren't allowed to go to flight school if you were a woman or if you were African American. So there was
Right.
no way she was getting in here. So they said, well, you should go to France and do it there. And she went to a language school so she could learn French so she could turn her application in at the school. I was like, that's determination,
Right.
And
Yeah.
all of the women you know, have something about them that stands out.
I mean and it's like a lot of things back in the day because I was talking to a person maybe a month ago or something, and we were talking about like women that are doing stuff that men do.
Hmm.
Like women doing being a mechanic.
Hmm.
You don't see that as much. A few here, a few there, but not like full. Like you got here's a mechanic shop that has all women that's just fixing cars. Like, oh, they know
Hmm.
how to fix cars. What the hell? They should do this and do that. And they're like, no, they learn it like we all do. We go to school. I mean, nowadays you don't go. Like when I was in high school, we had wood shop, we had auto shop. Now you don't see that anymore.
Hmm.
Like in schools. To me, I mean, I learned a lot from doing auto shop. Even auto shop and wood shop, even though I don't do anything outside of school now, of being like, I bring my car to mechanic. I don't even fix my own shit. I
Hmm.
don't even build my own shit. I don't even know why I went to the thing, but it was fun to do when you're at school. And same thing. Like women go and can do anything they put their mind to. And it's like empowering for people to go and do their path or their dream, and and say, oh, well, I can do that. Or some of them be like, oh, I don't know if I can do that because they won't let me. I'm like, no, just fucking do it. You
Yeah, I mean it's people who have had, oh, women have historically not been given
Yeah.
uh, the
The
ability to succeed in the way that others
and
have.
the tools and and whatnot.
Right, and then it gets worse. Not to get political, but
Yeah.
it just gets worse as you go in different classes, and it's a
Yeah.
shame.
But there's a lot of people that they're I don't know. It's just like people. I don't know what I'm trying to say about it. I'm trying to make it a little bit where I can figure out what to say about it, but I'll just deal what I deal with, and that's more like craziness of horror movies, and then comedy movies. Um, and comedy wise, what comedy like slapstick or like Mel Brooks kind of stuff, or
Oh yeah, I mean Mel Brooks is amazing. I There's such a variety of the comedy that I like, and I like the old stuff, all of the old Stephen Martin,
yeah,
and his current show is still really, I mean not still, but his current show was really good, and was I I enjoyed it. I was disappointed up until the last episode because I was like, I mean, you see him in this, but you don't see the old Steve Martin in this.
nah, it's more like up to date kind of
But
thing.
then that last episode really he brought it home and I was like, there you are, man.
Yeah.
So he will always be my favorite.
What was that? Murder in the Building? I think it was.
Only murders in the building, I believe.
Oh, okay. I got because that would be cool. I can put that in. That's gonna be crazy. Have the building with the same thing with in Vegas. Um, with Cabin Fever. Yeah, with the Friday 13th series going on, and actually, have you ever seen WKRP in Cincinnati? Since you're in the Cincinnati, Ohio thing, is WKRP like a big thing? You know,
It's not a big thing. It used to be, I think,
damn
bigger.
it!
Now I do like actually in my purse I've got a mask that's WKRP Cincinnati Turkey Day.
Oh,
So it just says, yeah, I mean it's got the scene on there and it says, "Oh, the humanity."
I love the series. And I say this with pride and proud that I wanted to be Dr. Johnny Fever. I wanted to be him, even though he was an actor. That was like the persona I wanted to be, and that's why I'm doing podcasting. So hopefully, and maybe that's the question I'm going to ask. Like, disco is, and they're like, great, no, wrong. Disco is happy. Something's way off of you guys. And then you had that one guy, disco sucks. You got it. Now we have some person going, disco is great. Yeah. No. But yeah, I wanna. They should have a Dr. Johnny Fever mask.
Oh, they probably do.
They probably do, but you have to pay a pretty penny and all that. I'm actually going to see if I can get the mug. The
Yeah.
mug he always carries around. I
Yeah, I'm
actually.
sure you can.
Oh yeah, no, I seen it. I'm like, all right, it's like $19. Fucking, I'll get it. I haven't got it yet, but I'm gonna, even though my name's not Johnny, so Johnny, Johnny Sunshine, Johnny, Calamari, uh, I actually had the shirt that he had on the show. I don't know. I don't think I have it anymore, but it's called Black Death Coffee.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I love that shirt. But yeah, got it, wore it, and I think he had moths, and then that was it.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
But it's like WKM Cincinnati. Yeah, there you go. We're gonna be doing that with Children of the Corn somewhere. Yeah. So tell everybody where they can find your podcast, where they can, what day, what time, if you're gonna be, YouTubing it or.
So we're not on YouTube. It comes out Monday morning at 6 a.m. and it's, as far as I know, everywhere. I could be wrong. It's on Apple, Spotify.
That's everywhere.
It's everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah,
Just
Apple,
the
everybody has. Fucking Google has everybody.
Google Pod Pod. I yeah. I mean,
Podbean.
yeah. I got nothing. I don't know, but
I got nothing. I got nothing.
we're on Twitter. More importantly, I'm on Twitter.
Yeah.
Uh, you can look up what I had heard was, and we'll be there with our little doggy face.
That's the name of the dog, Face?
No, no, just his face is our
Oh,
logo. So
okay.
if you see his puppy
I was gonna
face,
say, I'm like, that's a cool fucking name. Face. Face. It's like 18. Come on, Face. Yeah. But actually, my own question was, how'd you come up with the name? What I had heard was.
I I used to say it to my sister. I still say it to her. When she'll ask me a question, I'll be like, "Well, what I had heard was," and
Oh,
so
it just fit, and
it
then
just fit. We're like, "All right, this is
yeah. At least everybody else's like perspective of their names sounds way cooler than mine. You know, because mine's just basically I have a tattoo of an octopus, which doesn't mean anything because it's squid, the name, and they're meaner, and that was it. So I just want to shorten it up and tattoo squid, and
nothing
that
wrong with that."
it kind of coincides with my tattoo addiction wise. Um, and actually, the picture that you see there,
Hmm.
um, the guy that made it, it had all the tattoos going on, and uncanny enough, he put a anchor on there where I have an anchor on my finger, and he did not notice. I'm
That's pretty
like,
cool.
must be psychic. I don't, or unless his mom told him. I don't know, because I was like, I graduated high school with his mom, so I think she might have told him about the certain tattoos. I don't know if she was looking, but but where does what I had heard was where they go from here?
What are we doing next?
Yeah, I mean just the
Next season will be all midnight editions, and we'll have guests on each episode. So bringing back 2 and 1.
so at Midnight Edition is like you just tell stories or
We each there's a topic of each episode, and we'll all come with information. We just most recently did mothers of serial killers, and
all
so each
right.
of us will bring something to the episode and go through, and we discuss it as each person is telling their story or giving their facts or whatever it may be.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's like it's a little bit different. You got like two different segments going on, and yeah. So it's cool. I got to listen to a little bit more. I heard like one or two, um, and like it was just vague. I mean, I was like listening to it like going into work and
Hmm.
coming home, but I usually like to find out from the person like about all the stuff and all that. That would give me the I'm not saying get me to go and listen to it. I am going to listen to more because that's what is a good timeline for me. We call it. I'm like, all right, who I'm going to listen to next? I'll listen to this or this. Because everybody has a preference. They got
Hmm.
preference for crime podcasts, um, or just craziness like mine, and horror ones and just other miscellaneous, I guess, or even literary podcasts where they just read books
Right.
and tell jokes while reading the books. But thank you for being on the show, Jennifer.
Absolutely.
Jennifer, is your last name Marlowe from WK?
No.
Yeah, it's Jennifer Marlowe. But love the room. It's like I'm gonna be talking about this with my girlfriend. I'm like, listen, you gotta see this room. We got to do this. We'll just have like something, and there's a guy standing there in the corner just looking. You know, and then
Eh.
it'll freak her out. Well, it'll probably freak me out too. But oh, one thing I the those video videotape horror movies that they do.
Found footage.
Yeah, kind of like Blair Witch,
Yeah.
or see, other people were like saying, "Oh, Blair Witch, oh, that scared the crap out of me," and I watched it. I'm like, all right, there's nothing really.
Why?
Yeah, why? There's nothing. Even my brother said he watched it and he had to put like a night light on. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
But the second one, you saw that, right?
Yeah, I saw the second one. Second one was like a typical plain movie,
But it was
and
a
it was good.
decent movie. Like it
Yeah,
was.
exactly.
I mean, it was far superior to one.
Yeah, but it's like, but I seen the reason why I say that because I was watching this other movie called Hell House LLC,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the same premise where they have the video camera, the guy's walking around with a group of people. They go in this I'm not gonna say a haunted house, but it's some kind of like magician house or something. I don't know. But they go in this whole thing, and then there's this clown that's like supposed to be a dummy, but it looks so fucking real. And then you pan this way, and then it's just like craziness. Like, and I'm like, I'm sitting in a living room, and I'm not one to get kind of like fidgety about horror movies, but I'm looking down my stairway and I'm like, oh, hopefully this guy's not gonna peek out from around the corner. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to fucking sleep, but I can sleep anyway, because I always do. But like I said, Jennifer, thank you for being on the show here. Catch them on the episode will be out Monday morning, 6 a.m. What I had heard was,
Mm-hmm.
and you can fill in your dun 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 if you want. um, and there's three of them, and you'll get like great content, and you get any merch for them to try to find,
Oh,
or
there's some on the website. We have a website at wihhw.com.
okay, all right, cool. Everybody has a .com. I gotta figure it. I still gotta get that out there. I got a .com somewhere. I haven't really been busy. So, and also, folks, catch me. Go to Linktree, linktr.ee/Tattoo Squid Podcast. That's TATOSQUID. Um, and there's everything in there. Instagram, uh, TikTok, Twitch, which I'm still trying to figure that shit out. Uh, Mostly you'll find me on Twitter, like you. You'll
Mm-hmm.
find me on Twitter and everything else. And the Twitter community is great. People, if you want to do a podcast and you want to get your shit out there, there's many ways of doing it. You can go to Twitter, and there's a community that would help you out just to start. If you're starting out and you want to get your name out there, they'll retweet your shit. They'll go and do this. They'll hopefully send promos to you or do intros or whatever. Or you can come on my show and we'll try to get your shit out there. If that. I don't know. And have fun doing it. And that's all you need to do is have fun. We don't make a lot of money on this, I don't think.
No.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, it's what is it called? It's one of those, a hobby. Yeah.
Yeah.
You say that with such conviction. Yeah.
I know. I mean, you have to be, I think you have to be passionate about it to do it long term because it takes a lot of investment,
Yeah.
whether, regardless of what your goal is,
Yeah.
at some point in time, it takes that, because even if you're doing it solely for yourself all the time, you're going to be like, well, I don't feel like doing it this time. All right, well, except you're not the only one
Yeah.
listening.
If you have 3 or 4 people that's in this podcast, you gotta work as a team. And if you do it like I'm doing it, like by myself, then you can have that leeway of, oh, I'm not gonna do it this week.
Hmm.
I don't feel that way. But you can't say that when you have 2 or 3 other people that you work with. You know, Somewhat. And then somebody told
Yeah.
me this at one point. I was trying to get all this shit together, like the headsets, the microphones. And I'm like, I just want to do this. I'm doing this as a hobby. And, well, it's going to be a business. And I'm like, nah, not really. It's like, it's going to be a business. And then now I think I'm like, okay, it is somewhat of a business. You know, you got your merch shop, you got your, you know, you got your stickers you send out, you got your
Hmm.
stuff you're trying to get going, and so. But all right, folks. Um, but like I said, you know, start a podcast, do a podcast. And everybody have a great night. I'm gonna usually I go and talk to the guests a little bit, see how everything went, and then that. So everybody have a good night. It's Friday. If you're drinking, drive. No, no. If you're drinking, don't don't drive. And drink responsibly and tip your bartenders because they need money too, folks. All right, folks, take it easy. All right.